When this house was built, they built a sewing room into the house, and it was just a room. It was one of the only rooms without a fireplace because you didn't want to open fire around where you sewing. Anyway, the structure that they used to sew these quilts on, they could raise up to the ceiling and lower down, and we're pretty sure they brought it over from the house that predates this house, so back well into the 1800s. I think that house was built somewhere around the 1850s. And so they brought this over and had this whole thing, and it was a gathering place for the ladies, and they would all sit around this, and they would all make their different parts of the quilt, and they would come together and they would sew it all together, and that was, that was what they did for a social event. Now, I don't have a lot of stories about each quilt specifically because we've got literally 60 or so of them. We have a ton of them, and some of them are very old, and some of them are not as old, or in my lifetime, there was a big thing that my grandmother was really into, and so we've got some, but we've got one in particular that always struck me because none of them really have, as far as I can tell, I haven't looked through all of them, but any like initials or where people would sign it or very much. But this one had my great grandmother's initials on it, and her original name was Dorotha Jane, and her last name was Akard. And she married a Smalling, but she hated her name. She hated it, so she called herself Jenny. So everything has Jenny Akard Smalling. That's how she did it, and it's got her initials on it. There it is, J. That would have been her.
How many did you have with the J signature on them?
Just that one that I know
that
of.
One. Okay, that's the last surviving one that you have.
Well, I just think that she didn't put her initial on any of them. Oh. She just didn't mark them.
So that one she was very important to her.
That one had some sort of special significance to her, I think, because she did do that. And I'm sure a lot of these, because as they made these, I'm almost positive that what they did was they threw out the ones that were all ratty. You know what I mean? So I would say that by the end of her life, she was having a really hard time because she was younger. She got thrown from a horse. She was a big equestrian. We still have her side saddle downstairs, but she got thrown from a horse, or the horse fell and landed on top of her or something and hurt her back. And they didn't have anything they could do for your back then, so they just gave you morphine to help with that. And she finally died from it, but she was years just suffering with that. But that's the quilt that is the quilt that I would, if I was going to pick one, I would say, because a lot of the quilts are very nice and in better shape, but the stitching on it, there's so much stitching that went into this. That's and they did it all by hand. And it was one that my great grandmother must have been particularly proud of. She put her, her name on it.